Hello, it's been a while since I've made a video, over a year actually in human time, but I'm going to make one today, and what I'm going to talk about is being a person and being a human, and this idea that people have about what being awake is, and the disillusion of that, and how we kind of think, well, I know I did, I had this idea that once I woke up to reality, if I ever woke up, but that I would, and that it would be the absolute end of any kind of internal conflict or anything happening that wasn't pleasant, which is actually a complete and utter illusion. But I understand why we cling to that. And the thing is, as long as you're in a human body and you're having a human life, there's going to be ups and downs, and there's going to be great bits and there's going to be awful bits, because that's just the way that this world works. As we've put ourselves here for this experience, for no other reason than consciousness enjoys it. We are just consciousness experiencing what it's like to not know that we're consciousness. But even when you do realise that you're consciousness, it doesn't stop the game. The dream doesn't stop because you understand you're in a dream. The difference is you just suddenly realise you're in a lucid dream, and that you're being dreamt, and that actually you don't really have any control on how the dream plays out. Once you realise that and you slip into that, you're able to then just accept the dream is happening how it's happening, and it takes away the need to try and control it, even though on a human level there will still be something trying to control it, because the human mind finds it difficult to not just accept that it's a dream, because that's the way the dream is set up. The dream is set up to be a total illusion, and for us to go into the dream and be in the dream. How I see my existence now is that it's like on a three-tier process, and I'm this one in the middle that's talking to you now. This one here. That one, this one in the middle, can oscillate into the humaning and into the human world. It never takes it seriously. It knows it's a dream, and it knows it's being dreamt, and it knows that what will happen will happen. It can turn outwards to the place where the dream happens, which is just another dreamer dreaming. That dreamer dreams this dreamer dreams that dream, and it goes on and on infinitely out and in. And then there's the dream that this one made up to be able to be in this world. And those dreams have dreams. So if you slip into one of your dreamers within the dream, you see that has a dream world, and that dream world dreams, and those dreams dream, and those dreams dream. This dream is ever present, everlasting, goes out and it goes in. And this is a world that is a very hard world to be in. It's a very, very heavy place. It has its wonderfulness and it has its awfulness. And being awake doesn't take away the awfulness. That's what we hope. We hope that we'll wake up and then we'll suddenly just understand everything and it will no longer affect us. But the thing is, we can only control ourselves and how we think. We can't control what's going on around us. And the majority of people within the dream, their dreams, they're very lost in the dream. And the more lost you are in the dream, the more unpleasant people can behave and act. And we can't control that. We can only control how we react to it, and to see the dream and to think, why am I being given this within the dream? I'm in a dream. Why am I dreaming this? Why is this coming to me in this dream? What can I learn from this? Because everything that we have and everything that comes to us is because that's something else that we need to learn and to understand. And if we don't learn and understand it, we will just have a dream that repeats and repeats and repeats. We do that at night. You have these repetitive dreams. Like when you're dreaming at night and you're asleep, you think that is completely real. It's as real as this. And in actual reality, it is. This literally is a dream that we're having. And then we dream within the dream. But what's happened in this experience, in this dream, is the one that's being dreamt has realised it's being dreamt, and so then has turned towards, well, who's dreaming me? So then you can slip into the one that's dreaming you, and then you realise that the fact that that one is dreaming you, it is also being dreamt. So you slip back and back and back and back, and it's just a succession of dreams that goes through. The problem is, well, we say it's a problem, but it isn't really a problem. It's just incredibly clever that we can believe the dream. And I'm looking up there now, and I'm seeing what I see is clouds and trees, and I look over there, I'll show you, and I see the church, and I look at that and I know it's a church, or the dream tells me it's a church. In reality, it's only a church because I say it's a church. There is no realness. It's just what we decide is real and isn't real. But the point is, the dream is here to be dreamt, and consciousness dreams it all, and you are consciousness. You are before the dream and all the dreams within the dream. So it really just depends on how we take it. But the human aspect, the part that this part of me is dreaming, takes it very seriously. It completely believes that it's a real thing. A lot less than it used to mind now, because it's so connected to this part of me that there isn't that separation that there used to be. And so it doesn't take it as seriously, but it still does. Because if we didn't take it seriously at all, we'd have no experience. The experience comes from the believing the dream. And once you realise what you are, there's nothing wrong with believing the dream. The problem is when the dream feels like shit, and the reason it feels like shit is because of things we've collected that make it feel like shit. When we have a very busy mind that's full of angst, it makes the dream a horrible place to be. And we take the dream according to what we've believed, and we call that reality, but actually it isn't. It isn't really real. It's just what we're deciding about it. Like, the problem we have is within the dream, we want it all to be lovely all the time. We want all the rainbows and the butterflies, and we don't want all the crap. But if you take away that it's crap, it isn't crap, it just is. It's just what's happening next. And it might not be as pleasant as something else, but this is just what's happening. This dream is going in this direction. And it's not a problem. Or you don't suffer. You may feel uncomfortable within the dream. Some parts of the dream are uncomfortable, but it's how we take them is the problem. It's not the dream itself, it's how we see the dream. From the perspective of this middle one that can oscillate in and out, it can look out into the bigger picture dream, and then it can go and look into the smaller picture dreams and the dreams and the dreams and the dreams. There is never a problem. It just is. It's just what's happening. It's not a problem. Yet within the dream, this dream's dreams, it can think that everything's very serious. It takes it all quite seriously, and it completely believes it. And that in itself is not a problem. It's that too. That's the point of it. Because consciousness, in its natural state, doesn't believe anything. Because there is nothing. It's all illusion. The whole thing is a massive big illusion. But the point of the illusion is that we believe it. Because if we don't believe it at all, there's nothing. And so, once you realise what you are, you just throw yourself into the dream. But at the same time, you're watching the dream. So, there's nothing ever really wrong. The only thing that's wrong is how we take it. It's like we can decide that we want the weather to be a certain way on a certain day, And if it's not, then we feel that we're being hard done by. That's a big thing in humans, is that we have this attitude that we're being hard done by all the time, and that things are happening and it shouldn't be happening, and it shouldn't be like that, and it should be like this because I deserve it, and I want, and I want, and I need, and my needs are not being fulfilled. You take that out of it, you're just getting what you get. You're just following where the dream goes and accepting it. Doesn't mean you have to like it all, because sometimes it's not very likeable, but you accept the fact that you don't like it. You accept the fact that you would actually like things to be different within the dream, because this part never wants anything to be different to what it is, because it sees it's all for growth and it's all for you to understand, even though there is really no you. But when we're stuck in the dream, it can feel like a really hellish place, and then we have this illusion that we can get out of it and still be alive, can get completely out of it. But we can't, because as long as we're in a person, the dream continues. And so it's not about getting rid of the dream, it's about accepting the dream for what it is and not taking offence at whatever the dream is giving you, because it never gives you anything that isn't for your own growth and your own ability to understand. And every time something happens and we don't understand it and we don't learn our lessons from it, we will get the same thing over and over. We will just keep repeating the same pattern over and over again. And it's only by going, I see that now, and then going into that and seeing how it's affected you all your life, or for however long it has, we break the spell. And then when that thing represents, we go, well, no, I'm not going to do that. And it's all, and if you don't ever get it, it doesn't matter, because there is only one dreamer, really. It's just split itself into endless dreams. And so there's no dream that's wrong, there's no dream better than any other dream. Consciousness is willing to dream it all. And when we come into this life, we're given like a set of, it's like we're giving a set of emotions and ways, a collective sort of thought pattern that runs through humanity that we pick up from being around people and listening to what we're told is right and wrong. Like we're told we mustn't be angry, we mustn't have these emotions, but they are part of being a human. If we act out and we act on our negative, what we look as negative emotions, then we can cause harm to others, and that's not acceptable, because for society it's not acceptable. But the problem is that we're told not to have them. But we do have them because it's part of the bucket of stuff that we come in with. Ideally what we need to be taught is that we have these things and they're all normal part of being a person, but how to deal with them. Because there isn't actually, on a bigger picture, there is nothing actually wrong with any of it. Because like, if somebody's being murdered, somebody is murdering them, it's the same thing. It's two parts of the same thing acting out. Not saying that I would happily be murdered, I wouldn't, but on a bigger picture, I'm pretty sure that this middle part of me would be like, oh, that's just what happens next, if that happened. But the human part would be having an absolute conniption and not wanting to be murdered. It's just dreams within dreams. The problem isn't the dream, the problem is how we think about the dream. And the dream sometimes will take you over to show you what you need to learn. This last 18 months or so of my existence in this it's been a really interesting time, and I completely see that everything that has happened within that time has been for my growth. When you decide that you want to wake up and you want to understand what you are, and you make that kind of commitment, which is actually just part of the dream, and you think you're making a commitment, but you're not, because it's just what's going to happen anyway. But when you do that, you have to accept that to get to this place of clarity, you have to go through the shit. But what we want to do is jump over the shit and just reach this place of clarity. But what we have to understand is this world is a bit shit, and that shit things are always going to happen. And it's not the fact that the shit things happen, it's how we take them is the problem. And the reason we take them badly is because somewhere in our conditioning inside of us, we've decided that that's a bad thing. And we have this real desire to keep ourselves safe. And so what we'll do is we'll cut things off and hide them in ourselves that we don't like. But then the dream will continually give us things to try to wake that up, to try and bring that to the surface. And it's only when we get to the point that we're willing to go, okay, I'm willing to see whatever it is, show me, that we can start to undo those things that make us feel the way that they do and make us act in ways that we don't particularly like. You know, we do this thing where we do something and go, why have I done that again? Why do I keep doing this? It's because you haven't looked at why you're doing it. And you will keep doing things, and you will keep feeling the same way, and you will keep repeating the same patterns until you're willing to go, what is that pattern? Why is that affecting me? Why does it make me feel like that? And if you do it, you do it, and if you don't, you don't. You don't have to. There are no rules, it's all of it. You know, we make rules, humans make rules, we make how things should be. It should be like this, should be like that. From the outer perspective, it doesn't matter. But to live as a person, we want to make it as comfortable as possible, because if we don't, we just live in hell. And our own minds are hell. There isn't a place that we go to that's hell. Hell is here. It's an analogy for the confusion that we feel inside of ourselves when we don't sort out our own energies. But even when you sort them out, the fact that this world is a dual world and it has ups and downs and goods and bads, they're always going to happen. And there isn't some kind of nirvana that you reach within humanness. You can turn towards that and understand that that is your base of what you really are. But you're here for a humaning purpose, and in that you're gonna have all of the emotions, all of the things that happen within a human, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with them. There's nothing in us that we need to eliminate and get out. There's illusion, in as much as we can act in ways if they're overzealous. So if you've got a part of your mind that's been overstimulated and it's always on, that can feel wrong for us, and we need to sort that out to make it more harmonious, to live within our own consciousness, within this experience. And that's the best that we can do, is make it as pleasant as we can internally, because the outside world is the outside world, and it's always going to come at us with the stuff that it comes at us with. It's how we take it, but we can't not take it the way we take it if we've got something in us that's ignited when something is perceived as negative. So what we have to do is learn that when something comes up in us, instead of going, I don't like it and I want to turn away from it, I want to try and make that go away, we have to go, what is that that's coming up? What's that? What's that? That has to become the question, what is that? Why am I feeling like that? And then have the willingness to look at it, because then it disperses, and then the next time something like that happens, the reaction doesn't come. And so life can become more harmonious. But life is always going to keep on happening. People are going to die. Like love. We're going to love and we're going to lose, and we're going to lose. We gain, we lose, we gain, we lose. That's part of it. It's dual. It's harsh. This world is harsh. When you can go out of this world into the place where this doesn't exist, oh my God, it's so different. But we've chosen this. This one consciousness has chosen to have all these different illusions and have all these different experiences, and there's nothing wrong with any of them. There's nothing wrong with you. The only thing wrong with you is what you've collected that makes you act in a way that doesn't sit right for you or sit right for others. We all meet people that are completely lost, and their energies are all kind of mixed up and uncomfortable and horrible, and they're unpleasant to be around. I used to think that I had to just love everybody and love everything, but that's just not really reality, because when we do that we get taken advantage of, and we just accept people's... You can accept people, that's the way they are, but you don't have to let it hit you personally. But when you have a wound in you and these things come at you, they poke it and it hurts. So when they poke it and it hurts, instead of just trying to cover up the wound, open the wound. Go, why is that hurting me? Why when that person pokes me there does that hurt? You have to be willing to look at it and then to let it out, to open it up and let whatever's in it drain out. And then next time you poke there, it won't hurt you anymore. And really, that's the best you can do. We're all just doing our best, and sometimes we do better than others, and when we're not doing our best, or it doesn't feel good, it's because there's something in us that needs tending. But sometimes things just hurt, they just hurt. I had a very dear friend who I loved her dearly, and at a very young age she just died. All of a sudden she was gone, and it hurt dreadfully, and I had a tremendous amount of pain about it, because it felt, from this human perspective, it felt wrong that she should die at that age, and I felt this longing for her, but that's okay, it's normal to feel that, it's normal to hurt. Hurting is part of the game, pain is part of the game, uncomfortableness is part of the game, discomfort, all of it. But the reason it hurt so much when I lost her is because of the degree in which I loved her, and I still love her. So there isn't a wrongness about it. There's not a wrongness about anything unless we make it wrong. But when we're on this path of wanting to be enlightened and free of everything, we kind of feel that we shouldn't ever have emotions that aren't beautiful and pure. But that's not reality. Reality is, in this world there are everything. It's dual, it's good, it's bad, it's beautiful, it's ugly, it's terror, it's joy, it's... Without that contrast, we haven't got anything. And so it's accepting all of that, and accepting how you feel about things. Like, when you love, and then you're not with the people that you love, it hurts. That's okay. Accept that. Accept that. Accept all of it. Because resistance to any of it takes us out of alignment. And the more you accept, the less affects you. Because you just accept, that hurts when that happens. That makes me feel like this, but that's okay. That's okay. It's part of the experience of being a person, to feel like that. We're not always going to feel secure. That's also part of this world. Like from my perspective, from this part that can go in and out, nothing ever feels insecure. Nothing ever feels like I can be hurt. This dream, it's just a witnessing dream. But from the dream within the dream, the human dream, I can feel everything. And I don't mind. There's no balking at it. Even though the mind itself might be balking at it, I don't like it, I want this to be like that. It happens rarely now, but it can still happen. But it's okay. It's all okay. The problem is when we don't think things are okay, or that we shouldn't be feeling like that. I shouldn't be like this. I shouldn't feel like that. I should be more like that. I should be more like this person, that person. I should be... we don't know what's going on in anybody else's consciousness. People present things to themselves, but when you actually get inside people, we all feel the same. It's all the same. We all share the same stuff. It's just that we put on different fronts to cover it up. The more pain inside of somebody, the more front that they put on, the more that they want to create an illusion of them being okay. But that's okay too. The most asleep person is just as valuable as the most awake person. It might be more annoying, but that's just the way that it is. There is no better, there is no worse. There's no person that's any better than any other person. There's no one more valuable than anybody else. That's all an illusion. You cannot be better than you are in any moment. We can only ever be where we are, and we just have to be with it and accept it, and accept what we cannot change, and the things that we can change them. If we have things in us that make us feel really bad, we have to look at the wounds. You cannot get to nirvana without going through the shit forest. It's on the other side. But even when you get through it, and you get through the shit forest, you realise this is still a shitty world. It just is. It's wonderful and it's awful. And at the moment it seems to be particularly shitty. All the things that are going on, and people seem to be more and more lost more and more in technology and stuff, and connecting less and less with themselves. And but that's just the way that it is. And consciousness is all of it, and it doesn't mind any of it. It doesn't matter. It doesn't mind how disconnected any of us are. There is no one to impress. There isn't some God sat there that's going to go, oh, aren't you amazing, or aren't you terrible? Because it's all itself acting out in the way that it acts out. And so there is nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with you, except for what you can't live with. And the things you can't live with, look at them. Look at them. Look at, why is this dream playing out like this? Why do I react to that? Why? So you have to get, why is this? Why is that? oh, why do I feel like that? Rather than trying to run from it, run towards it. When you feel something uncomfortable, run towards it. And go, what can I do for you? From this perspective of looking, what can I do to make you feel better? What can I do to stop you feeling that reaction that you're feeling? But not in a kind of denial way, or I want it to be gone because I want to be enlightened, but just from a loving perspective of wanting to help anything that isn't feeling connected. And that's the best that we can do. You know, being a human being is never going to feel wonderful. It has moments of wonderfulness, but you know what? Moments of wonderfulness last. Nothing lasts. Everything is temporary in this world. Everything is cause and effect, and you just have to live with it. But you can live with it in a better way by taking away the stuff that you've gathered that produce this feeling of horribleness within us. You know, like when we have something happens, the mind spots it, the emotions react to it, then the mind goes crazy with it, and then it can drag us into a place of depression and feelings of very horrible feelings, where in fact, if you were to take away all the thoughts and the feelings, life would just be happening. It's just going on. It's all this craziness, and the dream takes us where we go. And the only problem is when we bulk at the dream. But we will bulk at the dream as long as we're holding on to big buckets of shit that we've collected. So it's basically about picking through the buckets. When something comes up, we look at it. When something else comes up, we look at it. And we empty out the buckets. And life will still be life, and things will still happen. But what I find now is something happens, but it's not necessarily going to trigger stuff in the bucket, because my buckets are virtually empty, or they feel like that. But what I've also noticed is I can have that thought, and then the universe goes, okay then, have a little go at this, and then it will give me something else to illuminate something else. But I see that as brilliant. I love that. I love it when something else is illuminated, because it means it's something else that can come out of my bucket. It's all about how you look at it. It's all perspective. The whole thing is just perspective. And, you know, and there's no two human beings that have the same perspective, because we've all had different experiences, yet it's all the same, really. It's a complete paradox. It's how you take it. The whole thing is how you take it. And you can't take it any other way than you can in any moment. So stop giving yourself a hard time about it, and realise that if you are repeating patterns, or if something keeps happening to you that's not nice, or you keep having particular feelings, you have to go into them to understand them, because you can't think yourself out of it. You can't take yourself to the place where nothing bad ever happens as long as you're being a human being. The only thing you can change is how you look at it, to see that you're in a dream. This is just like a lucid dream that we're having, and it's all being dreamt by the same thing. And so yeah, it's how we take the dream. That's the crux of it. It's not the dream itself. It's what we've collected that make us think that the dream is the way that it is for us. So yeah, I think I'm going to stop talking now. I've suddenly gone a bit sort of bacon. So yeah, I hope that's useful, and hopefully I'm going to be doing more of this now. I stopped for a while because I needed to have a break from it. I needed to just be in my humaning for a while, and sort of re-established myself after all the shit that happened with losing everything and moving into this other place, and I needed time to just be in the world, which is something that I'd completely sort of come out of, and I needed to have that time. But now it feels like it's now time again to start this, because this is how my dream goes. You know, that happened, it stopped happening, now it's happening again. I don't really have any control over that from here. That's just the way the dream goes. Things happen when they happen. A lot of our problem is we want things to happen when it's not time for them to happen. If we just trust that everything happens in perfect timing, it does. So this is just what it is. And so I'm going to be doing more of this. So if you don't subscribe, do, and then you will get notifications. And that's it really. And I'll speak to you soon. And I would say it's nice to see you again, but I can't actually see you. So I'll just say bye.